Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin.
And I'm Sandra Priestley. Welcome to our podcast and happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Oh my gosh. You know what I'm drinking?
What?
I'm drinking plain old water with ice cubes, but out
Just
of
plain old water.
one of my daughter's
Stanley cups.
family. I know.
So, yes, I know. I'm drinking some lemon water out of my Wonder Woman cup. I know. I need to mix it up. It's been a day though. It's Taste of Cedar Park. So,
Yeah.
it has been a get up, do some work, go set up, come back, do some more work. And we're doing this and then going to the event tonight. So it's kind of like date night for me and Paul,
Nice.
but with the whole freaking community. So
Awesome.
I know I'm super excited. So I'm saving my indulgences for when we get there
For
because they're going to have,
later.
of course, wine with food. So
I love it.
I know, super excited. I don't think I talked about this last week, but I meant to.
Okay.
A little over a week ago, I was doing a hypnotherapy session on myself. And when I finished it, so I just did the recording and then the recording ended and it was like, open your eyes. And something in me said, you're not done yet. Do some
Mm.
breath work. So I'm not arguing with myself. I just go into my breath work. And when I come out of it, I have a very clear, and I don't remember what happened that made me go, I have to go get the power of now out of my bookshelf. But it was a very clear, as soon as I stood up, it was go get the power of now. And I knew exactly where it was. So I went over, picked it up, and started reading it. And by Thursday, I was about halfway done. And it's a lot. I finished it yesterday. So
Oh
I
my
have
God.
finished the book, but it has been constant thinking and observing. And when a thought pops into my head, going, is that true? Is that real? Where's that coming from? Kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And I didn't tell you this earlier when we were talking, but I think it was when so I go into this other meditation. I don't remember what day it was, but it was sometime between Thursday and Sunday. But I had gone in and I had done a session. And as I'm in it, I am thinking this horrible thought. And it's something, I mean, it's years and years and years old, but it's a thought that will really just make me feel like you need to get in the fetal position. Like the world is caving in. You've had those thoughts, I assume?
I have physically been in the fetal position
Okay.
as an adult. In fact, yes.
And there is somebody with me that says, that's just a thought, right? And
Mm.
the way she said it kind of like snapped me out of the feeling for a moment to where I could recognize that judgment
Mm.
as just a thought and not something that was real. And it felt like truth flowing through my body.
Oh.
And I didn't tell you one piece of it that just popped into my mind, but as I look up and I feel this light, like bright light, just come through me. It was almost like I was drinking it, like it was just,
Mm.
it was flowing through me. It was the coolest, most unbelievable feeling that
Mhm.
I have experienced. And when I came out of that and opened my eyes, something said, sit up, because I was laying down in my bed. And as I sat up, I opened up my eyes. And when I did, felt like I left a shell of me
Oh,
laying in my bed to the point where I jumped out of my bed.
oh my gosh, that gives me chills.
I know.
How freaking cool.
It was a moment. And then all the sheets come off the bed, no, and go into the wash because it was like, I felt like there was something there. And,
Wow.
energetically.
Yeah.
But this book has been, I've read it before. So part of it was familiar, but a lot of it was like, oh, you forgot. And you
Hmm.
stopped paying attention. You started listening to the thoughts. And the thoughts come from so many other places, and you pick things up along the way and you make them real, and then that becomes your thoughts.
Yeah.
And and then we call it truth
Hmm.
without realizing
Hmm.
just a bunch of bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
Someone had a judgment about us and we
Hmm.
held on to it as truth. And then we repeated it over
Yeah.
and over, holding ourselves in this place that no one wants to be.
Well,
And
and what we repeat, we believe,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know, judgment is not truth, including what we think.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
when I read The Power of Now the first time, I think I said this to you. When I read it the first time, it was above me. I mean, I choose to believe that my subconscious mind picked some up.
absolutely.
It felt like it was above me. Like I wasn't connecting well to it. And I was probably, I think I just had my first child. So I was about 31-ish. I could not connect to it. The next time that I read it, I was in my 40s. And it became, I was going through some shit and it became like this soulless. Like it was like if I felt an uncomfortable emotion, it was like I ran to the Dane book. Like I felt like, and I thought to myself, what the hell? Like, how could I cannot connect to this before? It
Yeah,
is so simple and so real and so transformational and life altering and like peace giving.
yes.
How could I not get it before? But I wasn't at the place where I could receive it.
Hmm.
And as you're talking about it, a little while ago, I just opened up the book and just like, you know, thumbed it open.
Oh, yeah, you can just find magic anywhere you look.
It's true. And I just
Yeah,
opened it up to one page and I was reading just the one page. And all of a sudden it came out. I can't remember what it was now, but I was reading and went, oh, this is amazing. I don't remember reading that. I mean, obviously I did before, but
yeah,
I feel like every time we read things, especially as philosophical and deep as that, it depends on where we are in our life to make it mean something, right? Like
yeah,
we're interpreting everything based on our own sort of filter, our own lens, our own situation.
yeah.
So I really should read that book again now.
Hmm. Well,
Every 10 years, every 5 years, every year, I should read it.
because I read it in such a short amount of time, I feel like now I want to go back and just do a little, maybe
Mhm.
15 minutes a day, small intentional segments to really absorb because there's some deep stuff in there. Getting through that book in a week, I couldn't get as deep as I really wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking is that do a 15-minute a day thing and just get a piece of it to kind of meditate on.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those books where it's like when I read it the second time, I was going through so much that I related every word to my life.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. And now I think if because I'm not going through anything that would be that visceral, I think if I read it now, it would be read a few pages, sit back and go, let's just imagine, or let's
Yeah.
journal, or let's meditate on how this relates to me or my life or my past or whatever, right? Like it's, yeah.
I think the whole doing that and then journaling might be brilliant.
Hmm. I should read his because there's no highlights in it. So it'd be, probably
Oh,
a
like
different experience.
blank. Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, it is kind of I have read the Four Agreements though, and I had highlighted before. And what was
Uh-huh.
interesting was every time I go back and reread the Four Agreements, I look at what I highlighted, and it is so interesting because it is like looking at an old version of myself. And it is like, wow,
Hmm.
why did I highlight this? And what did I make this mean? Like, how did I interpret this? How is this
Where was I?
um, impactful for me in that moment? And is it impactful for me in the same way or a different way now?
Oh, the Four Agreements. That's a quick read.
It is. Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at it. It's over there on the table.
It's so good.
Love that book. And it's been a while. And I think The Mastery of Love came after it.
I didn't read that one.
Yeah, that one's real. Of course, all of his books are really good.
Yeah. So tell me what you did this
Okay.
weekend. It was my birthday weekend.
Happy birthday.
I
Can
know.
you
Thank you.
believe when we started this podcast, you
I
were
know.
49?
Right?
Oh, maybe you were already 50, so maybe not. Because maybe we had our 50th episode while both of us were still 50. Because I think
Maybe
we started recording in either November or December. So it's coming up. So maybe you had just turned 50.
possibly.
But yeah,
Then
3 years.
it was Thanksgiving here, Canadian Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
And my aunt from Vancouver had come up and we watched football together and hockey together and stuff. And she is in her
Mm,
80s. And
mm.
so she came and she gave me this ring. She gifted me this ring. It's a black diamond.
Wow, that's
And these
beautiful.
matching earrings and matching pendant. And I thought in that moment, I went, this is just such a great reminder of what things mean.
Mm.
Like how pieces and how things in our space and jewelry, like how they have such a deep, deep meaning, you know?
Now, is it something she bought for you or something that was her,
No,
like it was
the
handed?
the ring she got from my grandmother on her grade 12 graduation. And these, I think she bought them to match. Yeah. So they
That's
were
so
hers. She has had them for years. Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I know. But I just like it's just I think I have been thinking since then about what things make how we make things mean, like
Yeah,
what we make things mean
yeah.
and how just like a small piece of jewelry can or small item can have
Mm.
such a huge impact on us, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, I
I
think
love
it's the energy behind it, but
hmm.
also what we feel about it.
Yeah.
If you didn't like her much, I wouldn't advise wearing it.
True, but we have so many good memories and things
Yeah.
we've done together. So,
And so
yeah,
that's the benefit, just having it and wearing it because of
absolutely.
the way you feel about
Absolutely.
her.
Exactly.
Oh.
So tell me about your weekend.
Well, I had Maria and I went and picked her up. I had her Thursday through Monday.
Oh, fun.
So we did all the fall stuff. It's interesting. I'm trying to enjoy every moment with her while also being very aware. Like, we went to the pumpkin patch and took pictures. We bought pumpkins to bring home. We painted pumpkins. And as we're painting pumpkins, it's occurring to me, shit, I'm not painting pumpkins with this kid again until she's 10. And then that makes my heart like, oh, and it's like, you, we're in the now. She's here right now.
Yeah.
Don't fucking miss this moment because you're imagining her in Japan. And so it's that internal battle of let's do all the things, let's make all the memories, and then being aware of, holy
Hmm.
shit, this is the last memory. And then it's this weird stop,
Yeah.
focus, be here, don't be there. Like, we went on a Halloween walk, which is just a walk around the neighborhood to look at Halloween lights. But we went on this walk where normally we would push them and they were running. Like, they didn't get tired. They didn't whine, hold me. They're like
Yeah.
running ahead of us, then lapping back to get us, then going up. It was amazing, but I had to be there because I found myself wanting to go to, they're leaving.
Yeah.
And that's how we live our life sometimes, either oblivious
Hmm.
or not even there in,
Yeah.
a whole different place. And we had a great time. We made memories and I was present for them. And that's the key, I think, is to keep myself there. Even with Easton, Easton lives with us, right? We see
Yeah.
him every day. I don't sit and go, oh, this is the last time,
No.
but I don't need to. But I need to appreciate everything I get to do with that kid as though it was the last time because you don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed. But we go through life taking moments for granted. Oh, we're going to do this again next
Yeah.
week or next year instead of being fully wrapped up in that moment, being with
Yeah.
a person, whether it's a kid or Paul.
Yeah. It's so true.
Hmm.
It's so true. We take moments for granted and
Yeah.
we don't live appreciation
Hmm.
enough for every moment.
Yeah.
And we're so busy
Got that badge.
thinking, yeah, exactly. And thinking what are we going to do the next step, the next step, like what's next, what's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
So,
Instead of just being like curious kids
yeah,
going,
exactly.
going to where you're going and noticing everything around you and taking it all in and
Yeah.
finding out what's over here and what's over here and not necessarily having an agenda. I'll
Yeah.
tell you our favorite things to do on vacation are to get up, go have breakfast, and then hit the road. And sometimes it's get up and hit the road and stumble upon breakfast. Like, not have an
Yeah.
agenda of we're going to go
Yeah.
here, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We were in Vegas one year and we got up and we were there with another couple and they want breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we kind of do breakfast, late lunch. We don't need 3 squares a day. But we got up and they were hungry, and I'm like, well, let's just hit the road and see what pops up. And so
Yeah.
we are walking to a destination that just in that direction, but we want to kind of check everything out. So we end up in this spot where it's like the fucking Walking Dead. There are chain link fences. There is nothing nowhere. And
Yeah.
our friends are like, we're starving. And I said, something's going to pop up any minute. I just know it. And I shit you not, the cutest diner I have ever seen. It's like it just came out of the ground. It did not really, but because there was nothing there. And then all of a sudden,
Um,
and we went in and had the best breakfast. at this little diner. We would have never found that. We would have never been looking for that. We just stumbled
Yeah.
upon it. But it was that sort of a thing. We ended up at our destination we were going to, and then it was like, now what? And we would just walk. We would Google things, set in the direction of it, and see what we would experience. And we got to feel it. We got to experience Vegas. It wasn't scheduled and not the
Yeah.
entirety of it. But
Yeah.
I have been trying, or I am trying, to stay in that space more because that's where magic
Mm.
shows up,
Yeah.
where things you don't expect just come out of nowhere.
Well, and I've been seeing Gabby Bernstein show up in my newsfeed lately, and she has been commenting about like just surrender and see what happens. Like just surrender to the universe, let it lead you, you know? Like just that's what it reminds me of. Just like experience, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and let the universe, God, the angels lead you to
Yeah.
wherever you're going to go.
That's where all the good stuff is. And Eckhart Tolle ended his book with, "How will I know when I have surrendered? When you no longer need to ask the question."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because surrendering's tough,
it is.
you know?
I think especially for type A first child, I mean, maybe it is for everyone, but for me, I I really have to focus on give it to God and go to sleep. You know, like I really feel like surrendering has been tough for me. I'm always trying to imagine what's coming. How will I handle it when it's coming? I am like recovering worry or
Yeah.
professional worker. So surrendering to whatever happens, it is a foreign thing to me. But you know what was interesting? When we were doing hypnosis earlier,
Hmm.
I intentionally sat. So I had read a few weeks ago that when you're doing a meditation, if you place your hands facing down, it's to ground you. And if you place your hands facing up, it's to receive.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is I intentionally kept my hands up. Like I intentionally put my hands up so that I could receive what you were saying.
Yeah.
It was not comfortable. There were moments where I thought, I'm just going to turn my hands over. No, no, I can't. Like I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then there were moments where I was like, I don't like, I was sitting back in my chair. And there were moments where I thought, I just feel like curling up on my side on the floor or laying with my head down on the desk. I thought, interesting, because I was then like resisting the receiving. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah.
I'm
And
interested when
receiving,
you hear the recording, if you'll respond any differently.
mm, I've noticed, I mean, I might not,
Yeah.
but I noticed that a lot of times, like if I go just in the last little bit, I've been going to lay down, and usually I lay down when I'm doing meditation.
Yeah.
And my instinct is not to put my hands up.
Always
It's
down.
always put them down. Yeah. So I'm like trying to intentionally keep them up.
Yeah, I
I
guess I
know
always think about that. Like if arms, when your hands are up, it's
it's
just,
receiving.
hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's so fascinating. And I often will say, to clients of mine when they're holding on to something like holding on to an item or holding on to a feeling or whatever, like you imagine that you're like holding on and your wrists or your fists are clenched. But if you're wanting to receive something from the universe, you are never going to catch it if your hands are clenched around holding on to something that you don't want.
No, no.
So letting that go, whether it's, physical items that
Hmm.
you're holding on to, that are not serving you, or whether it's emotion or whatever, letting that go allows, like physically allows your hands to receive
Yeah. Yeah.
from the universe. So it just makes so much sense. And I didn't even think about that the last couple until I read that.
Hmm.
And now I realize just how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not difficult, but it's not my default. It's my default is opposite to it.
Yeah. Well, and I was reading in The Power of Now, Eckhart was saying you should be meditating sitting up.
Mm,
Like he wants your spine erect.
yeah.
And that's new to me. I mean, there are times that I'll do it that way, but my very favorite place to do my hypnotherapy or my meditations are in my bed.
Yeah, mine too.
Like
Yeah.
it's my safe place. We went to a Buddhist stupa in Sedona, Arizona years
Okay.
ago. And I used to carry this goddess on my keychain.
Hmm.
And I loved this goddess. Like I felt like she protected me. It was one of those, I loved her. So we get to the altar, and there's a place for you to leave money. And I'm like, let's leave him a check. So we wrote him a check, put it in there. And then I'm walking off, and something was like, you have to leave an offering. And so I'm arguing with myself in my brain, going, I did. I just put money in the offering. Like, hello,
Yeah.
that's money. That's not an offering. Well, I don't have anything. What am I going to do?
Right.
I haven't got anything. Put your goddess on the altar.
Oh.
Hell no. That's my goddess. Are you kidding me? She goes everywhere with me. She protects. No. And I could feel this resistance in me wanting to hang on to this goddess. But then I thought, the goddess will never be the same if you bring her home with you. She belongs here.
Mm,
Now she belongs here. So, with much reluctance, I placed the goddess on the altar. You happy now?
oh.
We leave. We're walking around. We fell in love with Sedona. Like, absolutely, absolutely fell in love with Sedona. And we are shopping the next day. And I'm just meandering through these shops. And what do I find on one of the little racks in this shop? A goddess that looks just like the one I left on the altar. It was not an expensive goddess. I mean, she was probably $20.
Yeah.
But I thought, huh, isn't that something? So I bought her. And what it represented to me was me being in a place where I could hear, leave this here. Yeah,
Mm,
even though you love this, leave it here. And I got a new goddess that was from Sedona. So it was a piece of Sedona that I brought home with me, but it also has a piece of me back in Sedona. And it was
I
one
love
of those
that.
moments when you were talking about receiving that it just reminded me of, because it was an experience for me with giving and receiving.
Hmm.
And I never would have had it if I had shut down and said, absolutely not. No, I'm bringing this home. This is my goddess. I would have missed it. But with that, we're out of time. Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.